Rain has a smell, you know what I mean? Like metal and old promises, and that alley behind the Riverton offices had it bad that night. Glass crunching under my shoes, sweater soaked through. Three guys crowding a man in a torn suit against a brick wall, voices sharp and greedy, watch wallet phone. All of it. And I should have kept walking. I should have minded my business, like the city teaches you to do. But the way he stood there, hands up, yet steady, not puffed up, not begging, just calculating his exits. It hooked something stubborn in me, so I grabbed a dented trash can lid and smashed it against the wall so hard a pigeon fell off a windowsill. Police! They're coming! I called. I yelled heart, trying to outrun my ribcage. The guys spun around, cursing, and the man in the suit moved like a spring cut loose. He ducked and bolted. I waved him after me. This way. Through a narrow cut in a fence I knew by heart. Out under a streetlight, where traffic roared like nothing bad could live there. He straightened his jacket, touched a thin cut on his cheek, and said, "I'm fine because you were louder than my pride." Then he checked his pockets and frowned. Wallet gone, so. Before my brain could vote, I jogged back to the alley's edge, stayed in the light, scanned the ground, and there it was, under soggy flyers, black leather scuffed but alive. I brought it back, he opened it, and exhaled like a man. Waking up, everything still inside. He held out a stack of bills. I took it, because rent isn't sentimental. "Thank you," I said. "I'm not allergic to groceries." And he gave me this curious look, like he couldn't quite file me away. "Most people would refuse," he said. "Most people don't have a landlord who knocks like the cops," I said. "You needed help," I helped. "You're being kind." "I'm grateful." His hand came out firm and warm. Nathan Cole. Mine met it. Lena Carter. And he said it like he'd been practicing. Then he added almost to himself, "I have a feeling this isn't the last time we meet, yeah." That happened. I didn't know he was the Nathan Cole, quiet king of freight routes and warehouse math. I just knew he was a person who needed a noisy girl with a trash can lid. 3 days later, I walked into a lobby that looked like money. Learned how to echo, clutching a business card. I'd found tucked behind his license when I checked the wallet before returning it. The receptionist smiled with her eyebrows, "Mr. Cole doesn't take walk-ins." Then she called upstairs and sat straighter like someone changed the air. The top floor opened to glass and sky. His chief of staff, Miguel, led me past art that should have had its own security. Hathan turned from the window and the room changed. Temperature softer. "Somehow, Lena, you came," he said, like my name had already been waiting there. We sat with coffee and a plate of pastries that just appeared. Rich people have snack elves, apparently. And he asked questions like he actually wanted the answers. What I did, where I was headed, why I returned the wallet, and when I said, "Because it wasn't mine," he got very quiet. Then he said, "The sentence that knocked the pins out from under my life, I'd like to pay your tuition. State University books fees, the whole thing." And I told him he didn't even know me, and he said he knew enough. Brave, honest, someone who went back for something that wasn't hers, just to make a stranger's morning easier. And I heard the lid clang again in my head, and I said yes, not because I wanted a savior, because I wanted a shot. Classes started. My backpack bullied my shoulders. My car whined like a blender full of screws. And one night after lecture, he was there, leaned against a black sedan that cost more than my building. He said he had a meeting nearby. The lie didn't even pretend to hide. Then he cocked an ear and diagnosed my alternator like it insulted his family. I said I couldn't pay a mechanic until next month. He made a call, and an hour later, Duke, the tow truck guy, called me ma'am, like I was royalty, and hauled my car to Drew Parker's garage. And yeah, Drew is that kind, steady kid with oil under his nails. We'll get to him. Until then, Nathan drove me everywhere, to the diner at dawn, to class at 9. He even came into the coffee shop and ordered whatever I told him to, tipping like he was trying to unionize kindness. Kayla, the barista, leaned in and whispered, "He looks at you like Spotify finally gave him a premium trial, you know what I mean?" The day he got jealous surprised us both. I walked out of the library with Drew. We were laughing about a professor who says statistics like a question he wants answered with your spirit. Nathan's jaw tightened. Drew shook his hand and thanked him for the business. We drove off in silence that crackled, and in the parking lot outside my building, he blurted it, half angry at himself, half relieved. Am I really jealous of a college kid when I run a company and own 3 watches that tell me the same time? And I told him feelings don't care about your portfolio. And he looked at me like the room emptied and said, "I'm falling in love with you, Lena." Not a speech, not a stunt, a confession. And I said, "Good." Then kissed him in a car that still smelled like rain. A week later, he asked me to work for him, not as a prop, as his assistant, with a real seat at the table while I stayed in school. Day 1. I color-coded a schedule that looked like Tetris, built by an enemy, slid a vendor call into a blind spot, had coffee at the temperature that makes people feel seen. Then, in a merger meeting, I said their debt-to-equity was wobbling, and we could structure payments to keep upside without swallowing their headache. The room quieted. Ava from Strategy smiled like she'd just found a new shortcut. Across town, doors opened, so did Nathan. He cooked me pasta in a kitchen that made me feel like a magazine forgot to clean up, told me about a mother who taught him to stir sauce slow, and a father who loved deals more than dinners. And I told him about buses that miss you on purpose, and kids at the diner who go quiet when you set down pancakes like you've handed them a door. Then came the hard yes, the new apartment key. My building had a break-in, and the stairwell lights on. 3 died a month ago. He put security and a window and a blue throw blanket in my hands and called it safety. Later, he slid another envelope across a counter. Accelerated MBA track tuition covered by a merit grant I hadn't applied for, and said he bragged shamelessly, and when I said I didn't deserve it, he gave me a look that told me to stop practicing smallness. Then he dragged me to the botanical gardens. Skipped 3 meetings, held my hands among the roses, and said he'd built his life around calendars until a girl with a trash can lid rearranged his priorities. Will you marry me? The ring sparkled, but it was his face that undid me, hopeful and a little afraid, and all in, I said yes and meant it with my whole body. The rooftop engagement party felt like a cliché that decided to be kind string lights, the city stretching out like a map. We now had permission to redraw. He toasted me in front of people who judge with their watches, then pulled me aside and handed me a 3rd envelope, 20% of coal dynamics, and said it wasn't a gift. It was a vote, build it with me, and I learned to sit at a table I used to clean around, which is exactly when Sloan Whitmore switched on the pretty smile and the sharpened edges. Old Money magazine gloss, a family name that comes with a museum wing, from alley rescue to rooftop romance. Some women are so resourceful, she said, tapping my ring, like it might crack, and I smiled back. Some women mistake their echo for applause. Her eyes flashed. Her whispers traveled rooms, cooled when I entered. I heard the word gold digger said with a soft laugh and a mean heart. Ava squeezed my shoulder and said, we can't let their story become the story. Then came the gala where Nathan decided to stop being polite. Sloan slid up with her flock and purred about Whitmore dinners and the provincial crowd we'd fallen in with finally turned to me. Did you pick the alley, or did the alley pick you? And Nathan set his glass down and said, enough. He walked me to the center of the room, tapped his flute, and told the truth like he pays it quarterly, that I saved him because someone needed saving, that I returned what wasn't mine because that's who I am, that I sit at the table because I earn it, and if anyone wants to argue, they can bring their full chest to his office. The clapping rolled like weather. Sloane smiled in a way that made me check my back. You'd think the applause would fix it. It didn't. But something else did. A month later, Miguel called and said, "Channel 5 now." The news broke a story on a downtown crew that tracked wealthy targets for robbery and ransom. Prosecutors unsealed affidavits. 3 mugshots flashed on screen. I recognized the eyes. One of the men yelled at cameras. "We had him. Some girl ruined it." And the anchor said their intended prize that night was Nathan Cole. Not a wallet, but a kidnapping. I sat down hard, shaking in that delayed way fear has when it realizes it was standing behind you the whole time Nathan came home. Cupped my face, said, "No alternate endings. We're here," reporters camped outside like squirrels that learn to talk. And when they asked how it felt to prevent a kidnapping, I told them the only version that matters. It felt like I was in the right place at the right time. But I didn't help because he was Nathan Cole. I helped because he was a person. And the rule is simple. If you can help without making things worse, you do it. And that clip traveled. The whispers dried. The wedding at the lighthouse was loud and soft and honest. And we started the Open Door Initiative because if someone hands you keys, you make copies, scholarships, and job training and childcare so parents can finish school, small doors for people who keep showing up. I won't lie to you. Power and generosity live in the same house, and it's complicated. Sometimes we argue gently about where help ends and control begins, he says. Let me carry what I can, I have the hands for it. I say, let me choose what I set down, I have the spine for it. And somehow, between those lines, we build a bridge, not a leash. And every time I pass a dark alley, I still listen for glass. And I still believe most people are one loud, decent act away from being their best selves, even if the world keeps betting on the other outcome. So tell me, would you have hit that wall with the trash lid, or kept walking? Would you have taken the tuition and the key and the partnership, or would pride have talked you out of your future when you hear a story? Like mine, do you reach for the cynical version first, or the generous one? And if you had been at that gala, would you clap or wait to see where the wind blows? Drop your take in the comments. Argue with me about right and wrong. Love and leverage, fairness and fairy tales. And if this landed anywhere near your ribs, hit subscribe so we can keep telling the complicated ones together.